Hey, what's up and hello? This is the Chris Nicole bringing you my views on life, love, and the world of entertainment through my eyes. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on what time you are watching this live. Hello, crew. Hope all is well. Make sure you hit the likety like button on the way in, please. So we are back with Ready to Love, the Philly version. I totally forgot about this show. I'm not going to even lie to y'all. For me personally, I don't know if the mid-season break works because we are all on a short attention span with so much stuff going on in our world and with other shows. I feel like a lot of people forgot about this show, but we'll have to see. We'll have to see what the mid-season did for them. But with that being said, let's get started with the review. This was a cute episode. I would give it a B minus. It was just okay. But with that being said, first things first, Sahara got her lick back with Fritz. And I loved it. I was living for it. She pretty much said, look, yeah, sir. If you would have talked to me and been honest with me, we probably wouldn't be having this conversation. And he was like, okay, well, what conversation is that? That you're not ready to love. And he was like, the shoe dropped. She said the cookie crumbled. So at that point, she hugged him and was like, yeah, bye, sir, bye. So he wanted to admit at that point that he should have just been quiet about how Sahara was not necessarily his cup of tea. He should have been quiet about it versus the way that he went about it. So he regrets that. Sir, it was just time for you to go at this point. So with that being said, moving on, Eddie, the fine Eddie, he also gets sent home. They mentioned his drinking, but honestly, I would just say that they smelled a player in him. As beautiful as he is, he definitely did give vibes that he ain't ish, okay? He will play somebody to the left or the right in the heartbeat, so he had to go. But he said he's not giving up on love. Go back to your baby mama. So, with that, we have the men going to the vault, and their assignment this week is to meet the girls' exes. And I was like, ooh, that's going to be quite interesting. So that was their assignment. So first things first, we have Angie. All right. And Angie ends up having Hussein meet with her ex, who is her baby daddy. And so they talk, and he said, well, what do you feel like the main issue was with Angie? And so at that point, he said, she definitely doesn't allow me to take the lead. Okay. And he was like, for example, she drove herself to the hospital while she was in labor. And I was like, dang. I was like, wow, in labor. I was like, that's, first of all, I haven't experienced that pain, but I don't know that many women who will be willing to drive themselves to the hospital while they're in labor. So unless he literally was too far and maybe in traffic and she decided to say, I'm going to do this myself, why, oh, why would you drive yourself to the hospital while you're in labor? And even Hussein was kind of thrown off by that. And he said, I didn't like that. And honestly, most alpha men are not going to want a woman that will not allow them to take the lead. That's just what it is. Men are providers, they're protectors. Even if to a certain extent, you may be low key in the background, still kind of like helping because, you are the neck to the man's head. They still need to feel like they have the lead. So he said that was kind of a turnoff. And clearly it was a turnoff for the baby daddy. That's why they're not together. So it'll be quite interesting to see where that's going to go. Now, y'all ready? Well, you know what? I'm going to wait on that one. Let me wait on that one because I need a moment before we even discuss that weirdo. Let's go to Sahara and Cam, aka Milk Dud. Because I started to realize he got a milk dud head. I mean, he definitely cute, but he got that chocolate milk dud head. He ends up meeting with Sahara. Sahara hugs him and she says she doesn't have any exes. And she says that the one ex that she really had that she was close to, he passed away. Now, crew, I don't know if y'all remember this. Okay, I don't know if you remember this, but she said in the beginning of this season, all right, she said that she had a man. It was something where it was toxic or whatever the case may be. So she created some type of spell or something. And she said she made a candle or she did something and buried the candle and buried him with it. Remember when she said something very witchy and crazy like that? So my antennas went up when she said this ex passed away. Now, I don't know if she talk about the same ex. But I was like, oh, wait a minute, hold up. What she just say? Because she said something like, oh yeah, I buried that candle, I buried that whatever, and buried him. Y'all don't find that weird? Y'all don't find that weird? Y'all don't find that scary? I said, Sahara, yeah, you are giving kind of witchy vibes, boo, because I'm kind of putting my antennas up like, what did you possibly do to him? Now, again, that is just for entertainment and educational purposes only, but it just spooked me out that the one ex that you talking about that you really only wanted to actually show up is gone, and you created some love potion or something to where you buried it and he was also buried. It's a little weird. But with that being said, she actually talks about how her main issue is that she loves unconditionally, and that can be a problem because it's like it's very hard for someone to do anything and she will leave their side. And so with that, I kind of was feeling that. And so she was just like, I'm tired of being a ride or die. I want to be a ride and live. And I felt that because I think a lot of women are always trying to do everything they can to show that they are there unconditionally. And one thing that Cam did say is, well, who shows up for her? And you just need to find a man that's going to allow you to be soft all the time or whatever the case may be. I thought that part, besides her talking about the boyfriend had passed away, I found that part to be very genuine and very sincere. And I think a lot of women and men can relate to that. Like, allow a man to allow you to, to pamper you and let you be soft. And at the same time, stop being that ride or die unconditional until they have proven themselves to deserve that. So I felt that part, but I'm still side eyeing her on this boyfriend that passed and that comment she made in the beginning of the season about her burying something that she created. And now this, I don't know if it's the same one, but y'all go back to the beginning of the season and hear what she said. Because I remember I talked about it and I said, this sounds a little witchy. This sounds a little witchy. Hey, Danielle. So I needed a beat. Let's get into this weirdo. Kiki, Kiara, and her ex, Jules. Jules, definitely, when I first saw him, I was like, okay, he cute. You know what I'm saying? He got dimples or whatever the case may be. She brings him to meet Jay, of course, because she only has her eyes on Jay. That's her man, her man, her man. But she says, I want you to meet him. And he's kind of like, are you sure? Like, you sure? And I was like, why wouldn't that be the case if you guys at one point tried to talk or was talking and it didn't work out? Why wouldn't she want you to meet him? So Jay gets there and Jay's like, all right, so, give me the scoop on your past situation with her. What's going on? Like, give me the scoop on that or whatever. He says, well, she had a crush on me when she was a little girl, but she a couple years younger than my younger sister, so couldn't do anything like that, but I kept my eyes on her. And I'm like, okay. Now I'm thinking maybe this is 2 years apart, a couple years apart, or whatever the case may be, which is still going to be weird if someone is a minor. But at the same time, I didn't know what that represented. We didn't hear ages. I'm like, he could have been 22 and she could have been, 19. Who knows? But then Jay gets in his confessional and he says they are 9 years apart. So when she was 9, this weirdo was 18 years old. So, sir, what age were you referring to where she said that she had a crush on you and you were still keeping an eye on her? What age was this? So at that point, I started getting the heebie-jeebies, and I said, "Oh my gosh, this is not good." So then at that point, he's like, okay, now mind you, I believe Jay has a daughter. I think the child that he does have is a daughter. So I'm sure his instincts were kicking in multiple ways. Like, this is the type of fool that would try to approach my daughter. And then at the same time, you know what I'm saying? He's coming at this girl that I like. Very weird behavior. So at that point, I'm thinking like, of course, as a young girl and she think that she's mature or whatever, she possibly did look at you like a crush. She's a little freaking girl. So then he says, well, when she was old enough and became of age, he hopped on that joint. That joint. Mind you, he did not say what age that was. Y'all noticed that, right? He didn't say what age it was. He didn't say, oh, when she turned 18. He said when she became of age, he hopped on that joint. What age was that? What age was it? All right. And Jay is definitely like, let me just be cool. But he said, you know what? Look, you know, she's beautiful. He's like, I love the bougie. And he was like, I mean, yeah, the bougie stuff, whatever. Like, I remember her when she was a humble servant. Servant? Servant? And even Kiara was like, I was never a servant. Even Jay came in, which I love, to defend her like, servant? What are you talking about, servant? And he was like, I mean, look, you know, I just, you know, before that, you know, before all of that, you know, she was just humble. She was a servant in the church. I'll just put it like that, a servant in the church. First of all, just because you're bougie doesn't mean that you're not humble. Just because you like the finer things in life does not mean you're not humble. But it seems to me that she ended up getting ahead of him in life. And now he looking at her like she bougie and she needs to humble herself because she's been able to elevate herself higher than he has been able to elevate himself. So when she was like, yeah, I was never a servant. And Jay was like, look, dude, like, nah, you know, whatever the case may be, but I love how she is. I love who she has become. Whatever it was in the past, that ain't it no more. And so at that point, Jules is like, well, look, it would be a danger, or no, he said it would be a dagger, I'm sorry, for her to move on, you know, because like once you have a crush on someone, it never goes away. Sir, I've had plenty of crushes and they went away. You sound insane. You sound like a weirdo. And let me make this very, very clear. He don't love her. He don't even like her. He is giving that she is his possession. That's what it's giving. And this is what I say about these older relationships. Sometimes they work, but a lot of the time, sometimes it don't work. And it's because for the most part, they truly look at the situation like, oh, you're mine. You belong to me type of thing. And it's like, no, sir, no, ma'am, absolutely not whatsoever. So he was just giving weird vibes all the way around. Jay was feeling it. Now, interesting enough, Kiara, you know, she was like, he is failing me at this point, but it didn't seem like she was shocked by his behavior. So my question to you is, why would you even invite him? To me, she did not seem shocked. She seemed like, oh, here he goes again. Did y'all pick that up? It wasn't like, oh my gosh, like, where is this coming from? It was almost like, I know how he can be, but at the same time, I'm hoping that he will just calm it down for this situation. So that's what it was given. And if that's the case, Kiki, you failed yourself, my love. You failed yourself because you knew the type of fool that was. You knew he was a fool. So I don't even know why you even thought that bringing him into this situation was going to help. But luckily, Jay looked more at him than her and looked at him like he was the weirdo and he got some issues. And I respect Jay for that. Now, with that being said, we are going to move on. Now, Shanice, and some of these pictures didn't show up on the internet, you guys. So some of these pictures you just going to have to see. And I'm talking about someone different. But Shanice introduced Buff Brokey Cisco to her ex. And at that point, we find out that this is an ex from college and how he says that he feels like he's kind of locked in with multiple people. And Shanice is like, multiple people, right? And he was like, well, it's no surprise that I'm locked in with Tay. And the ex is like, what does Tay look like? And Shanice is like, Tay's a cute girl. And he was like, no, she's beautiful. Now, how do y'all feel about that, ladies? Now, for me, I have no problem giving a woman her props. Like if a woman is beautiful or if a woman is, you know what I'm saying, a gorgeous woman, I have no problem saying that. I don't think Shanice was trying to downplay her. She was just like, yeah, she's a cute girl. But the fact that he was like, no, she's beautiful. Would y'all have an issue with that? Especially if y'all are trying to find love and this is a potential guy. To me, that would just give the signs that, okay, maybe you have more of a connection with her than me. But she kind of got annoyed and was like, you ain't about to sit up there and whoosh and swoon over this girl, you know what I'm saying, in front of me. And to me, I was just like, okay, Shanice, that should just give you the signs that he's not for you. Like if you feel that uncomfortable, then maybe he's not for you. But y'all let me know how y'all feel about that. But with that, Cisco was in a confessional like, no, she's beautiful. Like don't try to downplay her or whatever the case may be. And he even said in front of the ex and Shanice, like, that's just like me if I downplayed like Fritz or whatever, because that was your first interest or whatever the case may be. So I don't know if now that Fritz is gone, Cisco is looking at the situation like you're only coming to me because I am the only option you have left or whatever the case may be, or he really was offended by the fact that, you know, she said that Tay was a cute girl. But with that being said, he didn't like that. And I think that's the reason why what happened later on is what happened. But with that being said, we're going to move on to Hussein, Cam, and Rose. All right. Now, one thing about it, we definitely see that Hussein and Khalil and Cam are like top choices when it comes to the guys. But they meet her ex, and she said it was literally like October of last year, if I'm not mistaken, that they were together. He claims it's because of the 3 kids that he had. But at that point, he was just saying she's just too caring. And I understood what Cam was saying. Like, come on now. Like, she got to have some flaws. She got to have some issues. And I was like, yeah, she does. Because we saw the way she handled that whole, ain't nobody carrying my baby. I ain't having no surrogate. Like, have you lost your mind? We clearly know there's some issues there. But one thing about it, Cam was like, do you need a spiritual, religious type of man? Like, is that important to you? And she was like, yes, it is. It is important to me. And so at that point, for me, in my personal opinion, that's a deal breaker. If it's that important to you, stop trying to sit up there and work around something that you know is important to you. And I think as women, we do that. We try to be very open and understanding for things that are deal breakers to us. If you want a man that is just as spiritual and is, you know, into the same God that you're into, whatever the case may be, let that be. That is non-negotiable. And that's the way that I've had to treat the situation. I used to do that too. Like, I'm very understanding. Stop being very understanding. Because let me tell you something. My man is going to serve the same God I'm serving, Yahweh, point blank, period. I will not be mixing. I will not. It's very hard to do because I want that man to be able to fall on his knees and pray to the same God that I pray to, period. So the fact that she's trying to do that, I'm like, you're trying to compromise yourself. You really are trying to compromise yourself, and you need to stop that. So Cam, he's not into it. He's not into it. He was like, you know, I mean, I may go to church or whatever the case may be, but he's not into it. And so at that point, you need to move on, which is why I said Cam and Sahara are the better combination, because Sahara seemed to be in some other new age stuff. She don't seem like the Jesus lover. So with that, that's the only thing, you know what I'm saying, that I feel like you need to understand that you don't want to compromise in that area, period. So with that being said, we'll have to see. Honestly, I think Rose, who do y'all think is better, Rose and Hussein or Rose and Angie? Like, who do y'all think is better? Y'all let me know. Because honestly, I don't know yet. Like, I feel like I don't know. I feel like Rose and maybe Hussein would be better, but y'all let me know. We'll discuss that. But anyways, moving on, child. Moving on. So Tay, Cisco, and Khalil. Tay doesn't have an ex. Now, interesting, that was the task this episode, and a couple of them failed, but they got passes. You know what I'm saying? They got passes. So Tay doesn't have her ex there. She claims that her ex couldn't make it and the other exes are in relationships. So it was a no-go. But hey, she's an open book. Ask her whatever you want to ask her, okay? And so at that point, they're asking her, like, what are non-negotiable? She said snoring. And I said, girl, good luck on that. If you go find a man who don't snore. Do y'all know a man who don't snore? A lot of them do. A lot of women do, but good luck on that. But literally, she was talking about that. She said that sometimes she gets defensive and things like that when you approach her about certain things. Honestly, I feel like I like Tay with Khalil better. I do. I really do. I feel like Cisco needs to take his behind off of this show and get himself together as a man. All right. But Khalil, in my opinion, seems more secure in himself. Cisco may have all the body in the world, handsome man, but he definitely is insecure because he said the way that Tay even positioned herself. He said the way that Tay positioned herself made it seem like that she was into Khalil more than him. And I said, sir, position herself? Like, position herself? Like, okay, that's quite interesting that you say position herself. You that insecure? Is it just me? Or was she actually, was he tripping? I'm sorry, y'all. Give me a second. I'm literally Instacart order. This is crazy. Come on, girl. Get it together. Jeez. I would be mean if I reduce her tip, huh? Or if I'll reduce her tip when she actually gets here. No, I'm just playing. But yeah, if she was positioning herself, I feel like I need to step my game up. Yeah, you need to step your game up with paying bills. But anywho, with that being said, moving on, child, to Deanna. Is that her name? Yes, Deanna, Naeem, and Khalil. And I don't know how I feel about Deanna anymore, you guys. Just because I feel like she is that girl who her career comes before anything else, that it's going to be an issue with any man that she gets with. Any man that she gets with. So she meets with them. She doesn't have her ex either. She does not have her ex either. And I'm like, but how is it that the top three girls with personality and all of that stuff, Deanna, Tay, and Sahara, don't bring their guys, but they weren't in the bottom? You know why? Because this is reality TV and they gonna make sure that they stay towards the end because they are there for entertainment purposes. Okay, that's the reason why. So literally, at that point, she explains the reason why is because it was a toxic relationship. And I was like, I wonder why. Now, mind you, this girl is from Philly. She said she's from Philly. Beautiful girl. And you mean to tell me there's only one ex out of your whole entire life? One ex? That's interesting. So to me, she was definitely trying to hide something, but she did say that in her relationship, that guy felt like she was a runner when there was issues or whatever that she would run, that he had to walk on eggshells and there was a lack of communication. I said, she sound like a man. She sound like a man. I said, girl, then what's the point? What is the point? You are the freaking man in the relationship. So what are you ready for? You ain't ready for love. You want a beta male who is willing to deal with your nonsense and just accept it. That's what you're willing to, that's what you want. But again, these guys were sitting up there, Naeem, he was just like, I'm still cool with her. And I'm like, I'm sure you are. You got 5 kids. I'm sure you are. Make sure you guys hit the like button. I'm sure you are. You have 5 freaking kids. Oh, she did my order right. All right, girl. You're going to even get an extra tip. Thank you. I love when people listen to me when I do my Instacart orders. But anywho, y'all. But yeah, definitely she gives the toxic energy. And as much as I love her, like I said, she's a beautiful girl. I love that she representing for the thick girls because she's a thick girl. You know what I'm saying? Some may even say she plus size. I love the fact that, she represents that. But the times that even Hussein was like, you have to find priority in your relationship, in your career. And she took offense to that. Ma'am, like, what kind of relationship do you want? And so at that point, even Khalil was like, I like her and all, but I'm kind of getting red flags in this situation. And I was like, you should. You absolutely should get red flags in that situation. But then this child gets up. She had on, I swear those was pleather leather drawers. She had on pleather leather drawers with some leather chaps. Did y'all see that? And I'm like, no wonder you hide. Just because you got a freaking tank top or a little, you know what I'm saying? Like, girl, who wears that and then wears it in the summertime? I was just like, what is going on here? Thank you, Kevin. I was like, YMCA, YMCA. I was like, girl, but the drawers, the underwear, the panties looked like they was shiny too, like they was pleather leather. I said, oh no, honey. Oh no. What is going on here? I was like, this is ridiculous. Like, I hope she didn't stay in that the whole entire day and she just did that for filming purposes. But Deanna, yeah, boo, you need to work on that. I said, I ain't never seen nobody wear no pleather leather drawers in my life. Now, I know everybody into this whole wearing chaps stuff, but no, ma'am. No, ma'am. Maybe for a costume, but not to wear out on a day-to-day situation. But I was just like, girl, like what is the point? And it's almost like you give in because you don't have a good personality. You wanted to make sure you showed those booty cheeks on the way out. Like, because I'm just like, clearly, you know what I'm saying? She got her body together. And I think that's what she knows kind of draws guys in. And just the fact that, she's a beautiful girl. But that personality, unless she showed me different, is definitely a turn off. But with that being said, then we have Cam and Angie. Now, Angie had no problem showing Hussein or having Hussein meet her baby daddy. She had an issue with Cam because she said the connection is not there. Now, I don't know how y'all feel about that, but honestly, I didn't see a problem with it because it's like, if you feel like the connection isn't there, your baby daddy is probably the most important man when it comes to your world because of the fact that is your son's father. But at the same time, she did not complete the assignment. But hell, neither did Tay, neither did Deanna, and freaking neither did Sahara. But you didn't see them at the bottom. So Cam had an issue with the fact that he did not get invited with the ex, but he didn't have an issue with it with Sahara. Because even though the one that she really said that she had a relationship with, he passed, I would have been like, you don't have any other exes? And maybe she doesn't. See, one thing about it is that we need to stop assuming just because someone is in their big age, whether it's their 30s or 40s, you'll be very shocked about a lot of people have not really been in relationships. Now, that would have been an interesting topic to hear from one of them if they really wanted to get vulnerable. To get vulnerable and say, look, I know I'm older, but I just never really had relationships. And the relationships that I thought were relationships, they really were, not relationships. We was just getting it in. Like, just be honest. And I don't know if that was the case with Sahara or she just didn't want to show or introduce him to any of her other exes. But again, selective criticism is what I see with this reality show. But with that being said, Cam was really turned off about it or whatever the case may be. So he automatically was like, yeah, I got something to take to the vault about this. So they end up going back to the vault. And so the guys start talking. Of course, Jay talks about the whole situation with that weird old Jules and him being 18 and her being 9. And Tommy was like, well, this already sounds illegal. And he was like, yeah. And he was like, and the fact that he was talking about, he ain't used to her with the Louis bags and stuff like that. And he was like, because he's used to her being 9 years old. And so at that point, all of them was looking like, this is some weird A minor and a lot of PDF stuff sounding like is going on over there. So then at that point, we find out that Cam is upset that Hussein met Angie's baby daddy and he didn't. So, of course, he was holding on to that. Then Cisco wanted to sit up there and bring up Shanice, saying that he feels like she's holding out because it was the ex from college and how there has to be probably another ex in between that, but she just doesn't want to talk about it. Maybe there isn't another ex in between that. We clearly know the girl got 10 jobs. She has definitely, because of her past, has always said that she wanted to make sure that she had jobs. She had security financially. It could be that she literally got out of college and just went straight ahead and focusing on making sure she would never be in that predicament again. But he wanted to find an issue with her. Why? Because he wanted to eliminate her. That is my opinion on the situation, because he wants to go after Tay. What's going to be so satisfying, though, is if Tay say, nah, bruh, I'm going with Khalil. But with that being said, that's the reason that he gave, that he felt like she was holding out. Now, what I find interesting is, and what I don't respect, is that this episode, it was about the men meeting the women exes. Next episode, it's about the girls meeting the guys' friends. Why can't they meet their exes? What is up with that, where you want to meet the woman's ex, but the girls can't meet your ex? Do y'all find that strange? And production, I got an issue with that. They both need to meet each other exes, if that's the case. But anyways, I'm going to move on. So at that point, they make their decision who's going to be in the bottom 2. It is going to be Angie, and it's going to be Shanice. So Shanice already kind of felt the vibes. And one thing I don't like about Cisco, which in my opinion is a red flag, he's very passive aggressive. He knows the exact reason why she's in the bottom 2. She's in the bottom 2 because of him and the fact that he feels like that she was holding out. I felt like he was tiptoeing, tap dancing around it and trying to make it seem like he didn't want to break her heart. No, sir, I don't think that's the case. You seem very confident in there with the guys, but the reality is you don't have a legit reason to get rid of Shanice besides the fact that you don't like the fact that she downplayed the main girl that you really want. So it's just easier to eliminate her because you have your eyes on Tay. So, and the fact that Fritz was apparently her first choice anyway. So half of the time he couldn't even look at her in her face. I don't respect that. Hold it down, sir. Be a man. If you gonna sit up there and give your reasoning, which most of it was your reasoning anyways, look at her, like a man and tell her what it is. So when he was like, yeah, you're not ready to love, he looking all different ways or whatever. And Shanice is like, that's okay. That's okay. And she looked at him in his face and she was like, if I was only here to tell you that you're worthy and that you're a man and blah, 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 blah. And I said, and see, now that's the problem, that this man is good and well in his 40s or 50s. And you have to give him reassurance that he is a man and to give him that encouragement. If he don't have it by now, baby, he ain't going to have it. He ain't gonna have it. But when she was giving him all of those words of encouragement, he acted like he was about to cry. I don't think he was about to cry. I don't know. I'm still not feeling Cisco in this whole situation. And so at that point, she walks away and she was like, look, at the end of the day, I'm going to find love. Good luck to you, Shanice. Now, I didn't like the fact that you had no problem getting, bucket, naked, doing that whole finger painting stuff. But hey, that's your life. You give me the hippie vibes. It's a free world or whatever. So hey, do your thing. Wish you the best of luck. I am sure there are plenty of eligible men in Philly. But with that being said, Cam speaks to Angie and says, yeah, I didn't appreciate the fact that you didn't want me to meet your baby daddy. I felt slighted or whatever. She's like, oh, you did? Oh, okay. But then ended up saying, yeah, we feel like you still ready to love. And so she kind of gives a sigh of relief. And then with that being said, the episode goes off. Now, interesting enough, Cam is going to have his sister, I think, or someone like that meet Rose, meet Angie, and meet Sahara. And she's like, the friend is like, I feel like he got a connection with all of y'all. And Sahara giving them witchy eyes like, you better choose wisely and you better make a decision before I put a spell on you too. Because she is like, I'm not about to be in no bottom no more. I need to be selected. I need to be in the toppity top. So yeah, we're going to see where that goes when it comes to her. But yeah, you guys, it was a cute episode. Oh, you said it goes like that every season. One group meets family or friends. One group meets exes. Okay, so literally it could be that one season the girls will meet the guy's ex. Okay. So if that's standard, then that's standard. I feel like though, as a woman, I would want to know who his exes are. I would want to meet, I'm saying, especially the child, like if they have a child, that mother, I would want to do that because family and friends can be very protective over them and may not give you the real. But then again, I guess the exes can do that too because we saw that this episode. But yeah, you guys, let me know what you thought about this episode. It was pretty cute. We're back with Ready to Love. But again, selective criticism, selective one person completed the task, the other person didn't. They did not care that Deanna and Tay and Sahar did not complete the task. They didn't care about that. And neither did production. They're not going to put those girls in the bottom because they are the popular girls of the show. Whether it is for drama reasons, beautiful, pretty girl reasons, whatever the case may be, they are the top of the top. So I feel like we are going to get them literally at the end. At the end, we will get them. Now, what are your predictions? I can see Tay and Khalil being the ones that are ready to love. I definitely could see that. I feel like, who else? I feel like Husan and Rose, maybe. Yeah, I feel like those could easily be the top two. I just don't see D as much as I want her to win. I think she got to work on herself and realize that her career cannot be top priority. And I get it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we can be very driven in our careers, but you are going to have to find balance and realize that your family comes first. And I don't think she wants that. I really don't think she wants that. So yeah, but I definitely could see a Tay and Khalil. I pray she does not choose Cisco. I pray I don't see Cisco getting employment. Let me tell you something. I see Cisco trying to find a home with a woman who would be willing to hold him down for a minute, if not forever. I could see Tay and Khalil for sure. I could see Tay and Khalil. I could see Rose and Hussein. I don't know Hussein's religious background, but he's never really talked about that. But I could see Rose and Hussein. I could see Cam and Sahara. I really can. I can see Cam and Sahara. So we'll have to see. I would say those are my top 3 predictions. I'm probably going to be completely wrong. This is my first season watching the show. But I would say Tay and Khalil, Rose and Hussein, and Cam and Sahara. That's what I see as of right now, but we'll have to see. So with that being said, y'all let me know what y'all thought about this episode. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I will see you on my next video.